All right, we'll go ahead and share the screen here. Once again, thank you guys for joining this small presentation. It's going to be pretty short today. This is going to be on the topic of building credibility with reviews. And we're going to talk about a few different topics, the importance of reviews, when and how you can remove bad reviews, ideas for generating more positive reviews. And I'll also talk about a tool that routes where reviews go based on the ratings so that your good reviews get posted online and your bad reviews don't. And finally, we'll talk about the newest feature in Google Maps called Ask Maps, which is an AI powered tool where you can now ask specific questions inside of Google Maps. Quick introduction. My name is David Coatney with MSP Web Solutions. We build websites for MSPs, also provide hosting and marketing services. So in a recent survey, 72% of respondents said they trust online reviews from complete strangers as much as personal recommendations from people they know. And that should be pretty eye-opening. You have to remember that the person leaving a bad review doesn't have to be credible for people to believe they are credible. And these reviews are so much more important than I think most business owners realize because number one, yes, it does establish trust. It helps determine whether that person is going to pick up the phone and call you or one of your competitors. The number of reviews also establishes trust. It shows you're not a fly-by-night business. You've been around for a while. You have a established customer base who likes you and are willing to vouch for you, and that boosts conversion rates. So again, you're more likely to get the clicks to your website. You're more likely to get people who pick up the phone and actually call you versus one of your competitors based on what these reviews say and the impression that they will get from the overall review profile. And finally, it factors into your rankings. So reviews have always been a factor in your Google rankings. It's just one factor of many, but it helps you come up higher in the results to begin with. And we'll talk about a little bit later how that's also shifted now with Ask Maps. All right, so the first thing I want to address is removing bad reviews, because this is something that is a frequently asked question. Unfortunately, there is no way to remove a review just because it's a bad review. If there was, then nobody would have bad reviews, right? But if the review violates one of Google's policies, then you can actually report the review for it to be removed due to those reasons. And so there are a number of reasons. We'll go over a few here. If it's spam or fake content, that's a reason for removal. If there's a conflict of interest, so let's say this person pretending to be your customer is actually a competitor. So if a competitor is leaving you a review, or a disgruntled ex-employee pretending to be a customer, that would violate Google's content policies. If it's irrelevant, if you're an IT company and somebody says bad tasting burgers or something, on there, then that would be a reason, obviously, or somebody decides to have a political rant that has nothing to do with your business. Harassment or hate speech. So if somebody, let's say they're a legitimate customer, but they can't leave that review in a civil manner, and so they decide to turn it into a personal attack against one of your employees. They decide to get really nasty, or they start dropping F-bombs or something. Those would be things that violate Google's policies, and you can actually flag that for removal. Personally identifiable information, if they start giving out personal information on one of your employees. And of course, explicit content. So how do you remove this? Well, you personally can't remove it. Google would have to do that. But what you can do is report it to Google. And so to the right of the review, you'll see if you hover over it, there are three dots that you can click on, and there'll be an option there to report the review. And my recommendation is going to be to have more than one person at your company report the review. The more people you have reporting this review, the better. And the same thing goes with pictures. So Google also has this policy where Anybody on the World Wide Web can just upload a picture of your business to your Google business profile, and there's nothing you can do about it. And so, in the upload process, there is something you can do about it on the tail end. And this is really geared more for companies like, restaurants, for example, where you have a lot of user-driven photos taking pictures of their food. But sometimes you'll get industries where it doesn't make a lot of sense, and you have some random person out there posting a photo of your business that has nothing at all to do with your business. And it isn't your product or service. And so in those situations, there is an option to remove that because it's not your business. It's not relevant to your business. And if you hover over the picture, you'll see a little flag there, and you just click on that flag and then you can report that. But the best way to handle bad reviews is obviously to reply very civilly, but then to bury them with great reviews. And so that's what we're going to talk about next. The danger of encouraging everybody to leave a review. Let's say, for example, you have 5,000 people in your database and you're just going to blast it out to 5,000 people with a direct link to your Google business profile. Hey, everyone go leave us a review. Is you never know who within that database might be unhappy, might be having a bad day, might decide to take you up on that offer and leave a bad review. And it may be a customer that you didn't know was unhappy. The last time you were there, you installed a copier, they were happy, you checked up, followed up later, they were thrilled with their new machine, whatever the case might be. And then you left, and a week later, they started having paper jams, and now they're frustrated with the machine and they never said anything. And now suddenly you've got a bad review. So any number of reasons can result in that. This fixes that. Because what it does is it actually funnels where the reviews go. So if somebody leaves you, let's say, a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star review, it's going to go to a feedback form that's only seen by you or anyone you want included in that form. And so it's not going to get posted online. Whereas if they leave a 4 or 5-star review, it takes it directly to Google to post that review onto Google. And so we can set that up any way you want. If you only want 5-star reviews to get posted online and you want 1 to 4-star reviews to go to the feedback form, we can set it up that way. If you want to include more options, let's say if you want the user to be able to choose between Google, Facebook, Yelp, Angie's List, whatever the platform might be, we can have it go wherever you want it to go or give the users a choice. By default, my recommendation is that go to your Google business profile. And there are a number of ways we can implement this in the field. One is through your website. So I'll install a widget on your website that allows people to go through that system and leave the review directly from your site. Also, email blasts. We kind of talked about that earlier. Personal emails. We'll give you more than one tool for this. Obviously, we'll give you something small for your signature line. So at the bottom of every email, somebody can click on a star rating, and it's going to determine where that goes based on their star rating. We're also going to give you a larger one if anyone on your team wants to paste that into the body of an email to ask a very specific customer for a review. Hey, would you mind leaving us a review? Just click on this. And then they can also send a link out to a landing page. We're going to have a landing page that's dedicated to the review funnel that you can send anybody this link. But the most effective way is through the QR code. And I'll give you several examples of how this can be used. The most obvious is, you just have the QR code saved on your phone. It's with you at all times. You can just pull it up whenever you need to reference it. But I'm going to give you a couple examples of things that clients have done that have worked out really well for them. One is we had a client who had a form that they wanted every customer to sign every time a technician went to the field to do something, and the job was done, the customer would sign the form. Well, they put the QR code on that form, and it became part of their process. It was habit that they have to get the signature, and then the last thing they do is ask the customer if they would mind leaving a review. QR code's right there. So while the technician is packing up, the customer is already leaving a review. So this is a way to generate reviews every day. They're just coming in. We had another one who turned it into a competition for their sales team. And what they did is printed out business cards, laminated those business cards. On one side, they're asking for the review. On the other side, they have the QR code. And so every sales rep on their team had this laminated card inside of their pocket when they're out there in the field, and they turned it into this competition to see who could get the most reviews. And so that was another very effective way of generating a lot of reviews in a short amount of time. And finally, I want to talk about Ask Maps. So Google just recently rolled this out, and it allows users to ask specific questions inside of Google Maps to get custom tailored AI generated results. This is most likely to impact voice searches more than anything, but it's still good to be prepared for a wide range of business types. And the reviews themselves play a big role in this, as well as the verbiage of the reviews. The number of reviews you have, the average rating has always been important. That's always been factored into the algorithm. But now Ask Maps doesn't just count your reviews or your average star rating. The AI reads the actual text of every review and uses that text to answer specific questions from users. So if your reviews say, great service, 5 stars, it has nothing to work with. It can't match your business to any specific question because your reviews don't contain any specific answers. So with that said, you don't need to script your customers' reviews. Just start by asking one thing whenever you ask for a review. And I've got it here on the slide so you can see it. This is an example of something you could ask. If you leave a review, it really helps if you mention what we did for you and where. The details help other people find us. Most customers are glad to be specific when you ask. They just don't think to do it on their own. Your replies to reviews, which you should be replying to your customer reviews, are also indexed for these same purposes now. So when you reply to a customer's review, that reply becomes additional content that can now match your business to future queries. So instead of using some version of, thank you so much, we appreciate your business, it's better to thank the customer, mention the specific service that they had signed up for, include a detail about it or the city. The more details you can include and the more details the customer can include in the reviews and the review replies is definitely going to help you come up for more types of searches in Ask Maps. And there is a link, speaking of QR codes, to my calendar. If you'd like to book a time, you can scan that. And we are offering the first month free for online reputation services. If that's something you're interested in, feel free to schedule a time in my calendar, or you can reach out to me by email. Again, I'd like to thank you all for jumping on the call today. Like I said, it would be pretty short, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one.